Hello guys, I welcome you all to this session. Continuing with our Code Vita series, the problem which we'll be solving today is alphanumeric sorting. Okay, compared to the previous questions that we have solved, this one is very simple actually. Just if you know a few basic concepts like sorting and handling 2D arrays, you'll be able to solve this problem. Okay, I'll show you the problem statement. Take a look at the problem statement. Given a text comprising of words and numbers. What is the text made up of? It is made up of words and number. Okay, it will contain words as well as numbers. You need to sort them both in ascending order and print them in a manner that a word is followed by a number. So what are they telling you here? Print the words and numbers in ascending order. That is the important point. You should sort and print in ascending order. Next one, the word can be in upper or lower case. You have to convert them into lower case and then sort them. Okay, when you sort, ensure that the letters are in lower case only. Okay, so the when you print them, word should be followed by a number. That is the point which we need here. Okay, sort the words, sort in ascending order, print it as word followed by a number. Okay, and also one more thing, output should be in lower case only. If you have it in upper and lower case, convert it to lower case, then you print the output. This is a problem statement. Is it clear up to the problem statement? Yes. Okay, next, look at the input format. The first line contains total number of test cases denoted by n. The total number of test cases is denoted by n. Okay. Next n lines, each contains a text in which words are at odd position and numbers are at even position and are delimited by a space. So let me explain what they are telling you here. In the first line, they will tell you the number of scenarios, the number of cases. For example, let me consider input is 2, which means how many scenarios we will consider here? 2 individual scenarios. Okay, so if I say the input is 2, I will give you 2 individual scenarios. Can you all understand this? Yes. So if the input is 2, I'll give you 2 individual scenarios. Let me show you an example. Say in the first scenario, do you remember the input format? How will they give you? A word followed by a number. Yes, and definitely we will start with the word because the odd position will be a word. The first position is odd position. So odd position will be a word and even position will be a number. So odd number is followed by even, or in other terms, a word is followed by a number. Clear? Odd position will be word, even position will be number. So after every odd number we have a even number, which means after every word we will have a number. Okay, and are delimited by space. Delimited means we indicate the end of it by a space. Yes, if one word is completed, indicate by a space. If one number is completed, indicate by a space. For example, we have to start with the word. Yes, let me show you the first sample case. Say the first word is Joey. Okay, so I have a word. After the word, I'll give a space, and after the space, I'll have a number. Do you see that? A word followed by space followed by number. So the space which we have here is what we call as the delimiter. What does it indicate? The end of input. So after Joey we have a space, after which we have a number. So this is the first position, second position. After this we will have a space. Next position will be the third position. Third position is nothing but the odd position, right? In odd position what will be present? A word will be present. So after 20, we'll have a word Ross. Is that clear? Then again space. Now what will follow? A number will follow. After this again, a word will follow. Then a number will follow. Like this it goes on. They will give you any number of words that is not known for us. How will I know the end of input? If I go to the next line, if I click on enter, then this input is completed. So when I say /n, slash n is nothing but new line, enter. So when I press on enter key, it means we need to move on to the second input. Is it clear? Okay. If I press spaces, we are in the same input. When I press slash n, it means we are moving to the second input. Okay, so let me show you the second input also. In the second input, let us consider example Phoebe. Okay. Okay, so the second example is after slash n, here we moved on to the second number. So first word, after the word what will we have? Space followed by a number. Okay, space followed by a word, again space followed by a number, again space followed by a word followed by a number. Like this it goes on for any number of sets. Is the input clear? Okay, so when I tell you two scenarios, there will be two scenarios, and within the same scenario it will be separated by spaces. Okay, in the same scenario we will separate them with spaces. When we decide to move on to the next scenario, we will have a slash in new line. Okay, so look at the output format. Output format, words and numbers are sorted in ascending order. That was a problem statement, right? It should be sorted in ascending order, and when you print it, don't print all words and numbers together. How should you print it? Print the first word. Print the first word in ascending order, followed by the first number in ascending order. Then print the second word, second number. Is it clear? So sort the words, but when you print them, word followed by number. Then again word followed by number. That is the expected output. Okay. Let us discuss the output in this case. For the first scenario, we have three words. Right? In the first position, I should have a word. Look at the words Joey, Ross, and Chandler. So, which word should be placed first? Chandler should be placed first. In ascending order, Chandler will be placed first. Okay. After the word, in the second position, you should have a number. We have three numbers 20, 54, 19. Ascending order means out of these three numbers, which number has to be chosen? The 19 has to be chosen. Okay, then at the third position, say I have a word, I have a number, this should be followed by a word again. Okay, we have taken Chandler already. What are remaining now? Joey and Ross. Yes, who will come first in alphabetical order? Joey. Okay, now in the fourth position we should have a number. We have completed 19 already, so which number will come to the fourth place? 20 will come to the fourth place. Now remaining values are Ross and 54, so those will occupy the next two places. Clear? Similarly, calculate the output for next one. For the second input, for the Phoebe, Rachel and Monica, what will be the output? Calculate. For the second case, your output will be first which name will be present? Monica, followed by which number? After first number, first of all these three numbers, least value is 27. Okay. Next word, we have completed Monica. So what is remaining? Phoebe and Rachel. Which one will come first in alphabetical order? Phoebe. Followed by which number? 27 is done. So we have 201 and 57. So which number should come now? 57 will come. Okay. After that, one more name is remaining, which is Rachel, followed by last number 201. This is how you need to arrange it. Okay. Place a word followed by a number. This is the question. Okay. So one more thing. There is one thing we have missed in the question. Can you find it out? I have sorted it in ascending order, but they told you something. The letters will be in uppercase or in lowercase also. Do you remember? They did not assure you it will be in lowercase only. The letters will be in uppercase or lowercase, but when you sort them, convert it into lowercase and then you sort them. They said the point. Remember all of you? Yes. So convert it to lowercase. So first, if this is your output should be in lowercase is the condition. What is the output we have now? After sorting, this is our output. So what should you do? Output should be in lowercase only means convert all uppercase characters to lowercase characters. Okay. So how can you convert them? What will happen now? In this Chandler, capital C will be converted as small c. Okay. No change to the number. Next word Joey, capital J will be converted as small j, no changes to the number. Next we have Ross, capital R will be converted into small r, no change to the number. Clear? Okay. This is your actual output. This output is wrong. because you have upper cases. They told you should have only lowercase letters, so change it into lowercase. Similarly, for the second output, in Monica, capital M will change as small m. No change to the number. What about Phoebe? Capital P will change as small p. No change to the number. And for Rachel, capital R will change as small r. No changes to the number. This is the right output. Am I making it clear up to this point? So I hope you understood about the input and output scenarios. Yes, your input will be number by word, and your output should be sorted in ascending order. Letter should be in lowercase only. Okay, so we will have many confusions here. What if I add one more name here? Say Janice. Okay, I'm adding one more name here. We will have doubts like what if they don't give a number at the end, right? So if I stop it with Janice and if I don't give a number at the end, what will happen in scenarios like this? Or what if the name contains special characters? For example, Ross dot G. If I had some special characters like this, what will happen? We will have so many doubts like this. Yes, for this, take a look at the constraints. They have told you the text will definitely start with a word. So don't worry about having a number. Okay, text will definitely start with a word. Next thing, count of words and numbers are the same, which means in the previous case I told you, what if you had one more word? If you had one more word, you will have four words and three numbers only, right? If I had it like this, I will have four words and three numbers. But the input constraint says count of words and numbers are always same, which means you will never have this scenario. If you have a word, definitely you have a number. If you have four words, you should have four numbers. If you have three words, definitely you will have three numbers. Okay, don't bother about having an extra word or having an extra number. Okay, so this point is understood. Next one, duplicate elements are not allowed. Okay, so yeah, I will not give you the same name twice. I will not give you the same number twice. So sometimes we will have a doubt. If same name is repeated twice, which one has to be printed first? Or should we print both the values or only one value? We will have many such confusions, right? So to avoid all these confusions, they have said duplicate elements are not allowed. So every element will be a unique element. This point is understood. And what is the next one? Words should be printed in lowercase. We know this already, right? Your input might be in upper or lowercase, but when you print them only in lowercase. Okay. Last one, no special characters are allowed in the text. Yes, in your text, I told you what if you had dot. Should dot be considered as ascending or descending order? We will have all those confusions, right? So they have said there are no special characters allowed in the text. Is the constraint clear for all of you? Yes, you will always start with the word. If you have one word, you'll definitely have one matching number. Okay. The third point, you will not have any duplicate elements. So don't bother about repetition here. And fourth point, when you print the output, print it all in lowercase. Fifth point, don't no special characters are allowed in the text. So all these will be should be followed in the input and output. Is it clear up to this point? Okay, so we have understood the problem statement, the input format, output format, and the constraints. So now we can start working on the problem. Okay, when I say start working on the problem, you first need to form the steps. How can I proceed with the problem? That should be understood. Okay, so for this, what will be the first step? You need to get the input. Yes, first you have to get the input. Your input will be in what format? You will have a word followed by space followed by a number, right? Your input will have a word followed by space followed by a number. So first step, get the input. After getting the input, what should you do? Don't start sorting right away, because your word will have uppercase and lowercase letters also, right? There is no assurance that you'll have only lowercase. So don't directly start with the starting sorting procedure. First, ensure that everything is in lowercase. Okay. So next step will be convert all characters to lowercase. Yes. If it is in uppercase, convert it to lowercase. Right. Third point, after converting it to lowercase, now you can start sorting them. If everything is in lowercase, sort the words and numbers, right? Get the input, convert to lowercase, then you sort them. After sorting them, once you sorted, you can directly start printing the output. Okay, and how will you print the output? First print a word followed by a space, then you print the number. Am I making it clear for all of you? Yes. Get the input, make sure everything is in lowercase, then you then you sort it and then you print it. Okay. Input, convert, sort and print. These are the four steps we are going to do. So first step is obtaining the input. Remember the input format. What did they tell you? First line contains total number of cases. If I have two cases, we should work with both the cases, right? So first we'll get the n value. So we'll start coding it parallelly. So first thing will be the n value. What does this n value indicate? If n is 2, you are going to work with two scenarios. That is what n value indicates. Clear? So if n is 2, repeat the process 2 times. If n is 3, repeat the process 3 times. So what do you understand? This scanning, conversion, sorting, everything should be performed for each set. First you will perform for the first set and then you will perform for the second set, which means same process is going to be repeated 2 times. Why 2 times? Because n value is 2. Clear? If n value is 3, repeat the same process 3 times based on the number of input only. Okay. So I know that the process is going to be repeated n times. So I'll create a loop. Clear? Okay. So if your input n is 2, you need to get two inputs. First scenario, work for the first case separately, work for the second case separately. So this will be loop 1. This will be loop 2, which is why I've created a loop here. Have I made it clear up to this point? Yes. Scan n value, repeat the process. So created a loop. Okay. After scanning n, what should we do? We need to get the actual input. What is the input? A word followed by number, followed by word, followed by number, followed by word. This goes on, right? So how do I get this input? Look at this. This is how your input is going to be. You will have a word. Word is followed by a space. Okay, space is followed by a number. Do you understand the color code? Word followed by a space, followed by a number. Again, number followed by a space, followed by a word. This is how it will go on. Yes, look at this set alone. Look at this one alone. Nothing else. Look at this one alone. Yes, when you look at this, what do you observe? You have a word. Word is nothing but a string. So I have a string. Percentage yes. Okay. After the string, we have a space. After the space, we have a number. Percentage D. Clear? You have a string, space, number. So when you scan it as string, space, number. Can you understand why we do this? Yes, we have a string followed by space followed by a number. Can we check this for all the cases? Okay, so after this we have a space. After the space we have string, space, number. Clear? This set. String, space, number. Then again space, string, space, number. Look at that. We have three sets. In each set, we are separated by spaces. Okay, this is the separator. After the first set, we have a space. After the second set, we have a space. But after the third set, remember what I told you already? At the end of one input, I will not give a space. What will I give here? /n. I'll press enter key. I'll go to the new line. Why do we go to the new line? Because it indicates first input is completed. We are starting with the second input, right? So what should I monitor? What character is given after the number? Yes, after the number, if we have a space, it means we have one more input. Remember, after the number, if you have a space, it means we have one more input. But after the number, if I have /n, it means we don't have any more inputs. Okay, so check what character is present after the number. Okay, so After percentage %d, check what character is present. Scan the string. After the string, you'll have a space. After the space, you'll have a number. But after the number, sometimes you'll have a space, sometimes you'll have a slash n. So we have to stop if we see a slash n, right? So we have to stop if we see a slash n. So what should you do? Get the next character and check whether it is a slash n character. If it is a slash n character, the first input is completed. Is it clear? Okay. So now the question comes as, how should I store this? Think about it. It is a string. It is a set of numbers. This is a character. Okay. So first, to store numbers, we are not having one number, we are having many numbers here. So create a number array. Clear? Okay. Create a number array. So address of numbers index. For the number, I am creating a number array. Okay. And after the number, we'll be having a character. So for the character, it is a single character. So ch. Address of ch. Okay. For the string, I haven't completed. But so far, we have scanned the number. Where is the number stored? In number array. And then following character. Where is the character stored? In ch. Okay. So the scanning process is repeated for one set. What is a set made up of? A set is made up of word, which is percentage %s, followed by space, followed by number, which is percentage %d, and the next character percentage %c. Yes, I'm collecting these three and storing it. Next, I'll collect the next three and store it. Then you will collect the next three and you will store it. Yes, so I'm going to repeat the same process. Which process? String, space, number, character. String, space, number, character. This process will be repeated. So the scanf process is going to be repeated. Since it is going to be repeated, let's say I'll create a loop here. Say a while loop. Clear? The scanning process should be repeated. So I'm creating a while loop. When should you stop scanning? When you see a slash n, you will stop scanning. What will store this slash n? See, Chandler is a word. Yes. So you will store it as string percentage %yes. Then we have space. Then we have number percentage %d. What did we say? After the number, store the character also, which is percentage %c. Who is storing this percentage %c? ch is storing this percentage %c. So what should we check? Whether ch is slash n. Because that will store the last character. If ch is slash n, what does it mean? If ch is slash n, it means stop scanning process. Okay. When ch is slash n, stop the scanning process. So break. So until you reach break, continue the scanning process. Am I making it clear? Scan the string, number, then the character. String, number, then character. When the character is slash n, stop scanning. Is it clear? Okay. So here we'll need the variable index. For the number array, we are storing it in particular index. You'll be familiar with array concept. So index starts from 0. After storing it, what should you do? Index plus plus. Okay. So if you notice, we have scanned almost all the values, but string is still not stored. Yes. How can I store a string? See, generally, if it is just one string, for just one string, what will you do? Scanf percentage %yes, comma, str. Yes, we will not use the address of operator. We will not give the indexes. For one string, we will store it as str. Right. Now we have multiple strings here. This will be your first string, second string, third string. And if you remember, all the strings will be terminated by a null character. Guys, I'm moving on assumption that you know the basics. Only when you know the basics, you can understand these problems. Okay. So a string contains null character at the end, right? If you have to scan the string, scanf percentage %yes, comma, string name. This is how we'll generally scan a string. Yes. So this will be your first string, second string, third string. Think about it. Can I create three separate strings? str1, str2, str3. Is it Efficient to create three separate strings. What if I have two more strings? Then you will be creating multiple string variables here. Yes, instead of creating multiple string variables, we are going to imagine this as a 2D array. Okay, we'll imagine this as a 2D string. Okay, yesterday we were working with 2D arrays. Here we are going to work with 2D strings. What did I tell you? Whenever you have 2D, imagine it as a table. Just imagination, guys. It is not an actual table. Imagine it as a table. That's all I'm telling you here. Okay. So if you imagine it as a table, you can look at it this way. See how I have created it. All the datas are taken. Joey, Ross and Chandler. All datas are taken and I've stored it as a table here. Okay. So table means it is made up of rows and columns. When I say rows and columns, generally we'll start row number from 1. But since it is dependent on array concept, start row number from 0, 1 and 2. Row number will start from 0, 1 and 2. What about the column number? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is it clear for all of you? Okay. So row number will start from 0 to 2. Column number will start from 0 to 8. Okay. So how will I identify this? Let me name this table as, I'm going to name this table as word. Since it is storing the words, I'm naming this table as word. Okay. If you want to access Joey, see, previously we will use only the string name. Yes. Here, if you use just word, that is not sufficient. You should say which string. So instead of saying string name, we are going to say it as word of 0. Clear? When I say word of 0, it refers to Joey. Okay, word of 0 refers to Joey. So word of 1 refers to Ross and word of 2 refers to Chandler. This will be the string name. Is the point clear? Yes. Previously we will use str. In the programming part, we will use the string name str. Right. Here, instead of string name, use it as word of 0. Word of 0 is the first string. Word of 1 is the second string. So what will happen when I say word of 2, 3? Okay, in this case, what will happen? First one refers to row number. Which row? Second row. And second index refers to column number. What is the column number? 3. So 2, 3 means we are referring to n. Okay. So it is up to us how we want to do it. Am I making it clear for all of you? Yes. Okay. So if you want a particular character, tell the row number and the column number. Yes. If you want the entire string, if the entire string is needed, tell the row number alone. You can get the entire string. I hope I made it clear till this point. Yes. So when you store it, word of row number. Alright. So when I store it, I'll give it as word of row number, which is the index. Okay. Instead of row number, I'm using the term index. So index starts from 0, 1 and 2. Index starts from 0. After storing it, index plus plus. It will move as 1 and 2. Is the scanning process clear for all of you? Yes. Get the string, store it in word of index. Again, don't use address of operator for string. You will not use the address of operator. Okay. So have a character array. Word. Word is not a 1D. Word is 2D. Word is a two-dimensional one. Okay. So how many rows and how many columns? Let me say you will have a maximum of 10 strings. Just assumption, we will have a maximum of 10 strings. If I have a maximum of 10 strings, it means I should have 10 rows. Okay, the number of strings indicates the number of rows. What does the columns indicate? The columns indicate maximum characters in each string is represented as columns. Can you understand this? Now, number of rows indicates number of strings. If I have 3 strings, I will have 3 rows. Okay. Number of columns indicate maximum characters of each string. Okay. So I'm going to say I will store 10 strings and each string will have maximum 100 characters. Clear? I can store a maximum of 10 strings. Yes. Each string will have a maximum of 100 characters. Is the concept clear for all of you? Yes. So I'm just scanning all the values. After scanning them, we will just print them to verify that we have scanned it properly. Yes, how can I print them? This is where we finish off scanning at the end of while loop. Yes, to print them, start from index equal to 0, index less than size, index plus plus. So we need to know number of words and number of integers. Okay, so I need to know the size. Okay, number of words and number of integers. How can I get the number of words and integers? Just a basic understanding. See, let us consider you have a number array. Okay, we have a number array. Initially, there are no numbers. We have a number array. Initially, there are no numbers. Index is initialized as 0. Let me store 12 at 0th index. After storing at an index, after storing, what happens? Index plus plus. So, index value changes as 1. Okay, now I'll store it at first index and index changes as 2. Store and increment, right? Now you'll store it in second index changes as 3. Yes, then you'll store it in third index and index changes as 4. Do we have any more indexes available? No. Look at this. I have stored 4 elements, right? I have stored 4 elements. Last value of index is 4, right? After storing, if you increment, the last value of index indicates number of elements. Is it clear? The last value of index, because if you store it at some index, you'll increase the value. So if you store 4 elements, index will change as 4. So the last value of index indicates number of elements. So when you come out of the loop, take the last value of index, store it in size. This indicates the number of elements. Okay. Last value of index indicates number of elements. Now that we have the size, we can print all the elements. Clear? I know how many words and how many integers I have. Who stores that value? Size stores the number of words and number of integers. We are just going to print it. Printf the word space integer slash n. Okay, word of index comma number of index. Is it clear for all of you? Getting the inputs and then I'm just printing the output. I haven't sorted it, just printing it for verification purposes. Alright. So now let us say we'll consider only one scenario. If the one scenario works, it will work for all the scenarios. Yes. So one scenario input is Joey 20, Ross 19, Chandler 27. Okay. Word, number. If I press enter, enter means new line. When I see a new line, scanning will stop, right? So when I press enter, scanning stops and we get the word number. First word, first number. Second word, second number. Third word, third number. Is this clear? Okay. So first step is completed. Which one? Scanning the input part is completed. I hope I made it clear up to this point. Okay. So what is the next step? After scanning the input, next step is convert all characters to lowercase. Okay. So we are going to work on converting characters to lowercase. See, to convert characters to lowercase, there is an inbuilt function. What is that inbuilt function? strlwr, right? But whenever we program, it is better to avoid using inbuilt functions. Yes, because in some cases, in some examinations, they will not allow you to use string.h, math.h. Sometimes those functions will not be allowed. So you should be able to implement all the functions on your own. That is the ultimate aim. Okay. Ensure that even without the inbuilt functions, we should be able to develop the program. So here I will not use any inbuilt function. I will not use the function strlwr, strupr. We will not use any of these functions. We will implement our own function. Okay. So converting characters to lowercase. How can I convert them? See, capital A should be converted as small letter a. Capital B should be converted as small letter b. Uppercase should be converted as lowercase. C should be converted as small c. So what do you observe here? Let us take the ASCII values. If you are familiar with the term ASCII, you will know this. What is the ASCII value for capital A? Capital A's ASCII is 65. What about small a? 97. So what do you observe here? 65 changes as 97. So which means 32 is added, right? Plus 32. Similarly, capital B is 66. Small b is 98. 66 is changes as 98. Again 32 is added, right? Capital C is 67. Small letter c is 99. What do you observe again? How much is added? 32 is added. So in all the cases, if you have to convert from uppercase to lowercase, what should you do? Add 32. Is it clear for all of you? Yes. So to convert from upper to lower, take the ASCII value. To that ASCII value plus 32 will give you the right answer. Is the conversion clear? We'll implement it now. Yes. Okay. I'll write it in a separate program, then we'll paste it here because you need to understand it as individual modules. Okay, so just writing it as a separate program. Say you have a string. Okay, the string is Joey. Okay, what should you do? You need to take each character and convert it to lowercase. Yes, if you should take each character starting from the 0th index, right? Always start from the 0th index, index plus plus. Until when should you go? How will you know that a string is completed? If a string is completed, we will reach the null character, right? When a string is completed, we will reach the null character. So proceed until the character becomes null, not the integer value, not the index value. Until the character becomes null, continue. Okay. So until str of index, if it is not equal to null, you can continue. If it is null, don't continue. Is this clear? Okay. So what should you do? To convert it to lowercase, str of index is equal to str of index plus 32. Right? Starting from 0th index, take all the indexes, just add 32. When you add 32, capital J will be converted as small letter j. Yes. So after finishing the process, printf percentage s str. This is the conversion procedure. Clear? Starting from the first character, take everything and add 32. You will get your answer. Let us check that. For Joey, everything should be printed in small letters. Everything is printed in small letters, right? Now, let us try it with different input. Okay, 2 capital letters and 2 small letters. Now take a look at the output. Is this your expected output? The first 2 characters are right. But what about the next 2 characters? They are completely different. Why is it completely different? Because when we add 32, we are adding 32 to all the characters. Yes, we are adding 32 to all the characters. Think about it. Should you add 32 to all the characters or only to uppercase characters? We need to convert uppercase to lowercase, right? Which means 32 should be added only with uppercase characters. Yes. So before you add 32, check whether the character is uppercase. Okay, only if it is uppercase, add 32. Otherwise, don't add 32, right? So, if your character is uppercase, how will you know whether it is uppercase? If it lies in the range capital A to capital Z. If it lies in the range capital A to capital Z, then it lies in the uppercase. In that case, we can add 32. Is it clear? Okay. So, now let us check this for the same input Joey. Now you get the right output. Is the concept clear for all of you? Okay. So conversion from uppercase to lowercase, add 32. When should you add 32? If it is in the range A to Z, you can add 32. Is it okay? Yes. So here in our original program, you need to convert it to lowercase. Let us create a function for that. Yes. If I write everything within main, it will be confusing. So I'll write a function. String lower. Okay. What will the string lower do? This is a function that converts a string to lowercase. Okay. So what should it receive as input? It will receive a string as input. Okay. It is receiving a string char star str. Guys, how to pass an array to a function? All these are basics only. So you should be familiar with the basics to understand this program. I can't keep explaining why we have star str, why we have named a function like this. I can't keep explaining everything. Get familiar with the basics. Okay. So here, now to convert it to lowercase, how can we convert it to lowercase? The exact code that we have here. Okay. Take each character, start from index 0 until you reach null. Take all uppercase characters and add plus 32. Is it clear for all of you? Yes, that's it. When you do this, it will be converted to lowercase, right? So what should I do here? Take each word and convert it to lowercase. You can do it wherever you want. What I'll do is, as soon as I scan the word, after scanning the word itself, we will convert it to lowercase. Word of index. Clear? After scanning the word itself, we'll convert it to lowercase. Instead of creating a separate loop, as soon as you scan the word, convert it to lowercase. Okay? So I hope I made it clear till this point. So conversion to lowercase is completed. Now look at the third step. Getting input is done. Converting to lowercase is done. Now the third step is sort numbers and words in ascending order. First, let's understand how to sort numbers in ascending order. Okay, we are going to learn sorting numbers in ascending order. Guys, there are multiple sorting techniques. It is better if you use the most efficient sorting technique. Okay, so you can learn quick sort, merge sort, learn all those sort and implement it here. Okay, but right now I don't want to complicate it. I don't want to bring too many concepts into this program. So let me explain it with basic bubble sort. Yes, so once you get comfortable with all the sorting techniques, you can proceed to use quick sort or merge sort. That will be more efficient, of course. But here, for convenience, that is for you all to understand, I'm going to use bubble sort. Right, in which order are we going to arrange them? Ascending order. Is it clear? Given a set of numbers, we are going to arrange them in ascending order, right? Guys, I'll show the program to you separately. After understanding the program separately, we'll implement it in the original program. Yes, I'm just subdividing the program, if you didn't know that already. Okay, I'll show you how bubble sort works first, then we'll add it into our original program. Okay, our number array. What is our number array made up of? 54, 36, 21, 72, 43, 31, 40. So how many elements do we have here? We have 7 elements. Okay, I'll tell you how bubble sort works. See, I want the numbers to be in ascending order. Imagine some numbers 12, 14, 16. The numbers are in ascending order. Yes, when the numbers are in ascending order, for each element, any element is lesser than the next element. Do you all agree with this? Yes. When your numbers are in ascending order, any element will be lesser than the next element. That is what ascending order is. Yes, any element is lesser than the next element. So take 54 and 36. This condition is what we are going to check here. Any element should be lesser than the next element. Consider 54 and 36. When you consider 54 and 36, what is the criteria we said? Element should be lesser than next element. Is 54 lesser than next element? No. So what can you do here? You can swap the two values. 36, 54. Can you understand this? Element should be lesser. Since it is not lesser, I am swapping the two values. Okay. So after swapping them, remaining elements shall stay the same. Don't disturb the remaining. Okay. Next comparison is between 54 and 21. Can you all understand how we do it? First two are compared. If this is not true, if element is not lesser than next element, you make it right by swapping them. Similarly here, element should be lesser. But is it lesser than the next element? No, it is not lesser. So what can you do? You can swap them. 54, 72, 43, 31, 40. Next comparison will be between 54 and 72. When you compare 54 and 72, the current element is lesser than the next element. Do you all agree with that? Current element is lesser than next element, which means don't do any changes to the input. Okay, in this case, don't make any changes because current element is lesser than the next one. Next step, 72 and 43. Is the current element lesser than the next element? Don't disturb the remaining elements. Look at the comparison value. Current should be lesser than next. That is not true here. So, swap the values. Okay. Then next comparison between 72 and 31. When you compare 72 and 31, we observe that current is not lesser, so swap. Last comparison is between 72 and 40. When you compare 72 and 40, 36, okay, all these will be same, no changes. For this one, 40 followed by 72. That's it. Is it clear? So compare two adjacent elements. If your condition is not satisfied, swap the two elements. Okay. Now look at your final array. Is your final array sorted? No, your final array is not sorted, but something else has happened here. Can you identify that? See, in ascending order, when I sort elements in ascending order, first element is the least element, right? Last element is the greatest element. What do you observe here? When you sort it in ascending order, the greatest element is placed at the last position. Is it clear? Okay. Greatest element is placed at the last position. So, one element has reached the right place. Can you all understand this? Okay. So, this entire process is what we call as one iteration. Okay. You can term it however you want. This is just my way of saying it, right? So this entire term is what is called as one iteration. Clear? So what happens in one iteration? In one iteration, one element comes to the right place. This whole process is one iteration. The last element reaches the right position. Can you all understand up to this? This is one iteration of bubble sort. First we'll code this part, then we'll repeat the same procedure. Okay. So here what are we doing? We are taking one element and comparing it with the next element. So how can I write it? I'm taking an element. Taking an element means num of index is taken and compared with next one, num of index plus 1. Clear? One element is taken and compared with the next element. What did we say? The element should be lesser than the next element, right? Num of index should be lesser than the next element. If it is lesser, we don't have any problem at all, right? Look at this case. If 54 is less than 72, we are not changing anything. When should we change? If it is greater. If current element is greater. If 54 is greater than 36, we will swap them. Yes. So check whether it is greater. If it is greater, you can swap the two values. Temp is equal to num of index. Num of index is num of swapping process is num of index plus 1. Num of index plus 1 is equal to temp. Clear? If it is greater, swap the two values. Okay. So this process should be repeated for all pairs of elements, not just one pair of element. This will be repeated for all pairs of elements. So create a loop for this. Repeat it for all the pairs. All the pairs. How can I find all the pairs? First time we are comparing. I'll write the indexes. 0 is compared with 1. Right? Indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First time index is compared with the next index. Which means index is compared with index plus 1. 0 is compared with 1. 1 is compared with 2. 2 with 3. 3 with 4. 4 with 5. 5 with 6. And can I say 6 is compared with 7? If I take the last index is 6th index. If you take the last index, we don't have any element after that. Yes, I don't have a 7th index. So, if you take the last index, there is no element to compare it with. Okay. So, don't take the last index because it does not have a next element, right? So if the last index is n minus 1, we should not proceed till n minus 1. Why? Because last element does not have a next element. Okay, so don't compare till the last index, compare till last previous. How can I identify last previous? Last is n minus 1, so the previous will be n minus 2. Is it clear? If the last index is n minus 1, the previous will be n minus 2. So index will start from 0 and proceed till n minus 2 index plus plus. I hope I made it clear till this point. Start from 0, proceed till n minus 2 index plus plus. Yes, for convenience, I am going to print it each time. Just for your understanding, okay? Print index starts from 0, printing index less than n. I'm printing all the elements, guys. So less than n plus plus. So print the element, num of print index. Print all the elements and at the end of this go to the new line. Okay, so I'm just sorting it and printing it. Take a look at the output now. Okay, compare it with the solution we have done here. Look at this. First time comparison was between 54 and 36. After comparing 54 and 36, we will swap them, right? So it is swapped here. See that 36, 54 is swapped. Next time 54, 21 is swapped. Next time 54, 72 no swap. Next time 72, 43 swap. 72, 31 swap. 72, 40 swap. So whatever we have discussed here, the same thing is implemented here. I hope I made it clear. Yes. So at the end of one iteration, what happens? The greatest element reaches the end. Okay. This is what we call as one iteration. Okay. So if you understand from this, last element will get the right position after one iteration. Yes. At the end of one iteration, this element will be right. Okay. At the end of two iterations, the last second element will be right. At the end of three iterations, last third will be right. Can you understand what I'm saying here? See, if I repeat the same process again, if we repeat the same process again, compare 36, 21. Compare 36, 21, we will swap them. 21, 36, 54, 43, 31, 40, 72. Right. Next comparison, 36, 54. For 36, 54, we will not swap because the condition is true. Right. So 43, 31, 40, 72. Next comparison is between 54 and 43. For 54, 43, swap or no swap? 54 is greater than 43, so swap them. 43, 54, 31, 40, 72. Clear? Next comparison 54, 31. When you compare 54, 31, you will swap them. Because the element should be lesser than next, it is not true here, so swap them. So 31, 54, 40, 72. Next time we will compare 54 and 40. When you compare 54 and 40, should we swap or no swap? Element should be lesser, but here it is greater. So swap the two values 40, 54, 72. We already know 72 is in the right place. We know 72 is in the right place. So don't compare with 72. Now if you observe, 54 is also in the right place. Correct? When I repeat this process, this is second iteration. Okay, this process is second iteration. What do you observe? At the end of second iteration, two elements get the right place. This is the concept. So if you do a third iteration, third element will be in the right place. Fourth iteration, fourth element will be in the right place. Fifth iteration, fifth element will be in the right place. Sixth iteration, sixth element will be in the right place. Now think about it. Is it necessary to do a seventh iteration? Is it necessary? No. With 6 iterations, 6 elements will be in the right place. Let's consider last 6 elements will be in the right place after 6 iterations. Yes. So how many elements are remaining? Only one element is remaining. So definitely it will be in the right place only. Yes. So how many iterations should we do here? For 7 elements, we have to do 6 iterations, or in general for n elements we will do n minus 1 iterations. Is it clear? Yes. For first iteration, one element will be right. For second iteration, two elements will be right. So if you proceed like this, for n elements, we have to repeat the process n minus 1 time. Okay. So this iteration, this is one iteration. Now repeat the same thing. Okay. So for repeating, create a variable called as count. Count from 1. How many iterations should we do? N minus 1 iterations, count plus plus. Okay. And printf, guys, I'll print the last output alone. No need to print it each time. First time I wanted you to see the output, so I printed it each time. Now we'll print the last output alone. Okay. So I'm repeating this n minus 1 time. This process is one iteration. Repeated n minus 1 times. Yes. Take a look at the output now. 21, 31, 36, 40, 43, 54, 72, which means the output is sorted. Sorted in which order? Sorted in ascending order. Is the concept clear? Okay. So to sort a set of elements in ascending order, what is the algorithm we are using? We are using bubble sort algorithm. Just a quick recap. What should we do? For each element, you will check whether current element is greater than next element. If current element is greater than next element, what should you do? Swap the values. This is a process. If current is greater than next, swap the values. Repeat it for all the elements. Can you all understand bubble sort? For all the elements, if current is greater than next, swap the values. Okay. So in our program also, same sorting process. I am copying only the sorting process. Yes. Copy, and here we'll paste it. Okay, so the sorting process is taken and pasted here. Can you all understand this? Yes, in this case, size minus 1 and size minus 2. That's it. Have I made it clear for all of you? Okay, so this will sort the number array alone. Which sorting technique are we using here? Bubble sort. So when you do n minus 1 iterations, bubble sort will be completed. Declare a variable named as count. Have I made it clear? Scanning everything, converting everything to lowercase, then sorting the numbers in ascending order. After sorting the numbers, you have to sort the words also. Yes. So next step. Okay. So what is the procedure we did here? For swapping the values, temp equal to current, current equal to next, next equal to temp. This is a sorting process. Yes. Now what we'll do is we are going to sort words in ascending order. Now recollect sorting of numbers. For sorting of numbers, we will check whether current element is greater than next element, right? Exactly similar to this, instead of considering an element, instead of considering one integer, we are going to consider a string. Is it clear? Instead of an element, we'll consider a string. So for each string, instead of number, I am considering string here. Check whether current string is greater than next string. Can you all understand this? For each string, if current string is greater than next string, then copy current string to temp. See, I'm not saying equal to. For integers, you can say equal to. But for string, you have to say copy current to temp. That is what we did. Yes. So copy current to temp. What is the next step? Copy next string to current string. Right. So next step will be copy next string to current string. And last step will be copy temp to next element. Copy temp to next element. Have I made it clear? Yes. Exactly same as integer sorting. But instead of considering integer values here, I am working with string values here. If you have any doubts, just ask me during the doubt clarification session. Okay. So next step. Observe this. This is the process we said. For each string, current string greater than next string, copy the values. Yes. So what is this? Current string greater than next string. What are we doing here? We are comparing two strings. This is nothing but string comparison. Can you understand this? Okay. And then what are these three steps? In all these three steps, we are saying copy, copy, copy. So in these three steps, we are performing string copy. Can you understand this? Yes. To sort words in ascending order, we need to know how to perform string comparison and how to perform string copy. Am I making it clear? Yes. For the strings, understand comparison and understand string copy. Yes. So first, we need to understand how to perform string comparison. As I say always, don't use strcmp. Okay, don't be dependent on the system's predefined function. Always create your own logic. That is very much appreciated. Okay, so let me consider we have two strings. First string is Joey. Second string is Janice. Okay, guys, we have converted all the strings to lowercase letters, right? So we'll consider it as lowercase letters itself. Joey and Janice. Can you understand this? Yes. See, when I say compare the two strings, how will you compare them? See, we have two strings, Joey and consider Joseph. Yeah, that will be better. Consider Joey and Joseph. Okay, when you consider Joey and Joseph, I will not take the first character and compare it with some random characters. Will we do it with some random characters? No. If you take 0th index here, compare it with the 0th index. If you take the first index, compare it with the first index. This is how we'll proceed with the comparison. Yes. So, index of first string. Recording look. Index of first string is same as index of second string, right? If it is 0 here, take the 0th index here. If it is first index here, take the first index here. Okay, so I know I need only one index variable because we will use the same index for both the strings. So index starts from 0, index plus plus. Okay, for str1 as well as str2, we will use the same string. Can you all understand up to this? Okay. So when you do the comparison, look at this. When should you continue with the comparison? See, when should you continue? When I see J and J, I'll continue my comparison because the string could be equal. When I see O and O, I'll continue with the comparison. But when I see E and S, I will not continue with the comparison. Why? Because this is the point the values are differing. So based on this E and S only we can say which string is greater and which string is lesser. Can you all understand this? Yes. So continue your comparison if the values are equal. Right? I'll write it this way. Continue comparison if characters are equal. So when will you stop? When the characters are not equal, we will stop. Is it clear? Okay. So continue your comparison if the characters are equal. So J and J are equal. Go to the next one. O and O are equal. Go to the next one. E and S are not equal. So stop your comparison here. So what can be my condition? Instead of writing it separately, your condition could be if both are equal, continue. str1 of index equal to str2 of index, continue. Okay, this will be a empty for loop. You just need to move the index values, right, until you reach not equal point. At some point you will definitely reach not equal. How can I be so sure? Will you have two strings like this, Joey? Will we have two strings like this? Not a chance at all. They clearly said in the question that your string will always be unique. Your words will be unique. So there is no chance both the strings will be exactly same. Yes, at some point definitely the strings will differ. So until it differs, until it is equal, continue with the operation. So once it is not equal, come out of the for loop. Can you all understand this? Yes, which means this is an empty for loop. Empty for loop can be represented with empty brackets or with a semicolon at the end. Okay. So when you come out, you need to know whether string 1 is lesser or string 2 is lesser. So I'm going to check if string 1's character is lesser than string 2's character. Let us say printf string 1 is lesser. Otherwise, string 2 is lesser. There is no chance that both the strings will be equal. Okay. So in this case, which one is lesser? Jan is, because we have A here, I have O here. So what will come first in alphabetical order? Janice will come first in alphabetical order. String 2 should be lesser. You get string 2 is lesser. Can you all understand this? Okay. So this is the string comparison function. We will take this string comparison and use in our program. Create a function named as string comparison. For comparison, we will need two strings. Yes. So char star str1, char star str2. And whatever process we did there, paste that process. Can you understand this? Comparing the strings, if it is equal, we'll move. But we need not print whether it is lesser. We need to say that to main. Okay. So how will I say that to main? If string 1 is lesser, I say return 0. Okay. If string 2 is lesser, I say return 1. You can define it however you want. For this problem, I'm going to choose it like this. Yes. If string 1 is lesser, return 0. If string 2 is lesser, instead of printing, return 1. So what is the return type here? We are returning integer data type. Can you all understand this? Yes. Based on the comparison, one of them will be lesser. Return that. Return that accordingly. Is it clear for all of you? Yes. So now what did we say? For each string, current string should be greater than next string. Okay. We'll create that. For each string. How can we take each string? See guys, the same process. I'll do it like this. The same bubble sort process is going to be taken, but instead of working with numbers here, we are going to work with strings. Is it clear? Instead of numbers, we'll work with strings. This way will be better to understand. Same bubble sort process is taken, but instead of numbers, we'll work with string. Okay. What are we saying here? Current string is compared with the next string. So string compare current string word of index is compared with next string word of index plus 1. Okay, current string is compared with the next string. You need to check whether first one is greater, right? Whether the first input is greater. How will I check that whether first input is greater? If first string is greater, if first string is greater, what will be returned? 1 will be returned. Okay. If first string is lesser, 0 will be returned. If first string is greater, 1 will be returned. What do we need here? Whether the first string is greater than second string. So if your first string is greater than second string, it means, okay, for better understanding, string 1 should be greater than string 2. That is the case we have here. String 1 should be greater than string 2. How else can I write it? String 2 should be lesser than string 1. However you write it, both are same. String 1 greater than string 2 or string 2 lesser than string 1. Yes. If string 2 is lesser, what will be returned? 1 will be returned. Okay. So for your condition, check whether the string compare has returned 1. Can you understand this? Yes. If your string compare has returned 1, it means string 1 is greater. Okay. If it returns 1, first string is greater. If your first string is greater, what should you do? You need to perform the copy operation. You have to perform string copy, which means next we have to understand string copy. Okay. To understand string copy, let me say we have Joey copied to, okay. I want string 2 should be copied to string 1. Can you understand this? String 2, Janice, should be copied to string 1. Okay. So how can I copy that? Source is Janice. Okay. The destination already contains some value. What is the value? Joey. And at the end you will have null character. At this end you will have null character. Okay. So what should you do? Take this j and store it at the 0th index. So source 0 is assigned to, is given to, okay, destination 0 gets source 0th index, right? Destination's 0th index gets source 0th index. Destination 1 gets source first index, right? Instead of this O, you will store this A. Instead of this E, you will store this N. So I can say destination's index gets source index. That's it. Whatever value you have here, copy that character and give it to destination. Okay. So this is your source and this is your destination. Okay. So take a character from source. Take a character from source, assign it to the destination. Clear? Take a character from source, assign it to the destination. This should be done for all the characters. Index starts from 0, index plus plus. This should be done for all the characters. Until when? Until you have copied all characters of source. How will you know all characters are completed in source? When you reach null character. When what reaches null? When source reaches null. So until source reaches null, continue this process. Can you understand this? Yes. Take each character from source, assign it to destination, and finally print the destination value. So what is our destination? Janice is copied into destination. So your answer should be Janice only, right? Okay, look at that. At the end I have F. Why do we have F? Because the size is, for Joey the size is 4, for Janice the size is 6, right? This is 4, this is 6 means destination does not have enough space. To overcome this, declare size as 100. Only then you can copy all the characters. Yes, so size should be, it should be able to accommodate the all the characters. Yes, when you give it as just Joey, size will be 4. This size is 6. So to manage with sizes, I'll give both the sizes as 100. Take a look at the output now. Janice is copied properly, right? Now I'll change the source and destination. Janice is the destination and Joey is the source. Is it clear? So now Joey should be copied into destination. Okay. When you look at the output, it will not be right. When I copy Joey into destination, I don't get the right output. Why do I not get the right output? See, if your destination is Joey, sorry, if your source is Joey, your destination is Janice, what will we do? Until null character, right? I'll take this J, paste it here. Take this O, paste it here. Take this E, paste it here. Take the Y, paste it here. When you reach null character, you will stop. Yes. So Joey is pasted, but the existing characters are still there. Yes. To remove the existing characters, this point should be changed as null. Can you understand this? Once you finish copying, destination's index should be set as null. So after you finish copying, destination's index should be set as null. Only then we'll remove the existing characters. Okay. Now you take a look at the output. You get the right output. Is it clear? So this is for copying. So for copying, we need a string copy function here, right? So create a function named as string copy. Create a function named as string copy. Get the destination string. Get the source string. Look at the order. Destination followed by source. Okay. So we already have the code. Paste that code here. Okay. Pasting that code here. Now what should we do? See, similar to number copy. Exactly similar to number copy. We are going to perform string copy. Okay. So to perform string copy, you will need a temporary string. not a temporary character, temporary string. So what is the first step? String copy. What is our destination here? Temp is the destination. Yes. So temp comma. What is our source? Num of index. Instead of number, we are going to use word of index. That will be the source. Clear? For temp, copy word. Next one, string copy. Okay, in the second case, destination is num of index. So destination is word of index comma. What is the source? Num of index plus 1. So here the source will be word of index plus 1. Is it clear? Copy num to temp. So here copy word to temp. Then word of index plus 1 to word of index. Then string copy. What you can do is, what is the destination here? Num of index plus 1. So destination is word of index plus 1 comma. What is the source? Temp is the source. So source is temp. That's it. When you do this, string copy will be completed. Can you all understand up to this? So what did we do? Getting the input, convert to lowercase, sort the numbers and then sort the strings. After that, print your output. For index equal to 0, index less than n, index plus plus. How should you print the output? When you print the output, format is word followed by space followed by number. Remember the format? Word space number. So percentage S space percentage D. Print word of index followed by num of index. Sorted words followed by sorted numbers. Is it clear? Okay. So at the end of this, add a slash. That's it. Print the word followed by number, then go to the next line. Now shall we check the entire program? I'm going to give the input as, okay, something is missing. Undefined reference to string compare. Have we copied string compare here? Okay, string comparison, string compare. Okay. One input, Joey 27, Ross 31, Chandler 29. Okay. So what should come first? Chandler 27 followed by Joey 31 and at last, sorry, Joey 29 and at last Ross 31. Look at the output, we get only Chandler 27. Okay, because here I have used n. You should not use n. N is first input. You need to know the number of words and number of integers which is stored in size. Okay, number of words and number of integers is stored in size. So now let me check this. Joey 27, Ross 31, Chandler 29. Take a look at the output now. Chandler, Joey, Ross 27, 29, 31. We get the right output. Yes. Now working for two inputs. Let's say I'm going to work for two inputs. First case, Joey 29, Ross 31, Chandler 57. Okay. Look at the output for this. Chandler, Joey, Ross 29, 31, 57. Now Rachel 201, Phoebe 35, Monica 26. Now take a look at the output. Monica, Phoebe, Rachel. It is sorted in ascending order and 26, 35, 201 sorted in ascending order. So if you want three cases, take three cases and give for all the three. That's it. Yes, we have completed with the program. Now that we have printed the output, you can think of ways to optimize the program we have discussed right now. Okay, so you can think of ways that will reduce the number of executions. Let me tell you some tricks. See guys, once you get comfortable with the coding, you can try implementing all these tricks on your own. Okay, so some of the optimization techniques are, see, we implemented bubble sort, right? I've used the naive bubble sort algorithm. What you can do is, there are some optimization techniques in bubble sort. For example, if the array is sorted, you need not check it again and again. You need not execute it n minus one time. If it is a sorted array, stop with that And also if you notice, the last element has reached the correct position, right? So once you know it is in the right position, you need not check for that. Just like that, we have many optimization techniques for bubble sort itself. If you can implement those techniques, yes, minimize the number of steps in bubble sort. Our best method will be, don't use bubble sort at all. I wanted everybody to understand this. That is why I used bubble sort. But avoid using bubble sort since it has a very less efficiency. Use some better efficient sorting techniques such as say quick sort or merge sort. Okay, use an efficient sorting technique instead of bubble sort. And if you remember, what did we do with the strings? We implemented bubble sort in the strings, right? We took a string, copied it to the result. We are swapping the strings. Imagine it, to swap the strings, you're copying each character to another string, then copying the same characters to another string. Instead of copying this, you can use a selection sort kind of technique. Yes, what you can do is, from the list of words, choose the least word. If you have Chandler, Joey, and Ross, choose Chandler. He is the first name. Yes, print Chandler to the output, then delete it from the list. Okay, instead of copying it and sorting it, choose the word that comes first in ascending order. Choose the alphabetically first word, print it to the output and delete it. Don't copy it anywhere, don't store it anywhere. Print it to the output, delete it. Take the next word, print it to the output and delete it, which is similar to selection sort. Okay, so instead of copying, you can find the least string, print it and delete it. Okay, these are some of the techniques you can implement here. So I don't want to impose everything at the same time. First do this, later on you can try implementing these techniques on your own. Yes, once you know the different sorting techniques, if you are comfortable with all the sorting techniques, you can implement it. Yes, if I do it right now, it is going to take too much time, which is why I'm just telling you, if you want, you can implement it, right? Copy the string, use selection sort. What is selection sort? You will select the required value. We need the first word in ascending order, right? Alphabetically first word. So select the alphabetically first word, print it to the output, then stop the process. That's it. Okay. So if you do it this way, the solution will be even more efficient. So it is up to you whether you want to include this in your version of the solution or not. Yes, I'm not going to be the judge of it. That's it. If you have any other doubts, please join us in the doubt clearing session. I'll clear it up there. Okay. Thank you guys.